I want to start by reflecting a little bit. Upon arriving at OU, I sat down and I was talking with Sarah Robbins, and she was asking, would we want to do a conference? And I said, yeah, that sounds exciting. What do I need to do? She gave me the best job one could imagine. She says, you get to choose the dream team of speakers. And so I've invited the dream team, and they're here today and tomorrow, and I'm delighted that we're able to share that with you. I want to thank some sponsors that made this event and this over the course of 2 half days happen. Sheila Johnson at Oklahoma State University, Kelvin Drogemeyer, who's the Vice President for Research at the University of Oklahoma, and the University Libraries have sponsored this conference, and we're delighted to do that because, in my mind, this is a crucial topic. It could not be more timely. For those of you who may be so inclined, I want to point out that the Twitter hashtag, OCOA 13, I hope you'll feel free to use that, and I think it'll be interesting to kind of follow and tune in to some of the comments that people make over time. So let me give you a perspective very quickly on open access. I want to start with a reader perspective, since that's really, in many ways, what things should be all about, and define that as immediate, free, worldwide, unfettered access to scholarly works. The scholars need not only rapid and easy access to research materials, but also the ability to disseminate their work, in essence, to be read. Open access for authors ought to, in my humble opinion, protect the traditional rights of scholars with respect to the products of their intellectual endeavors. It's the right of a scholar to decide who, when, where, how to publish a book, a work, an article, or what have you, and under what circumstances. Open access for the academy. The idea that creative ideas or creative works produced by the university, especially public universities, should be used to the greatest possible public benefit. I believe, and I think many of you share the belief, that public universities have a duty to inform and teach the general public about the research that is conducted in our universities to stimulate further innovation and knowledge. That requires the widest possible dissemination for that to occur. So then there's been this question about where do institutional repositories fit into all this, and what's the relationship there? Again, in my view, open access also should refer to online repositories in which members of our university communities can post their works of scholarship that are accessible to the world. They are part of, if you will, the enabling infrastructure. OA repositories accessible to the world without charge, free of copyright or licensing restrictions. Let's look at the landscape very, very quickly to set the context for this conference. If we look at some benchmarks, and I'm going to start with the Big 12, since arriving, although I think the Big 12 as an athletic assemblage has been sort of evolving in a different direction, but I'm continually asked, how do we compare with the Big 12? We have at OU and at OSU institutional repositories, although I have to say ours is not well developed yet, but will be over time. And as you can see, most of the Big 12 has that. Our aspirational peers, indeed, have institutional repositories also. It is rather commonplace now in the landscape among certainly research libraries. If we look at which campuses have campus-wide open access policies, I note that the University of Oklahoma is not on this list. KU, Virginia, Rice, Georgia Tech, Duke, et cetera, are on the list. So we're a little bit behind here. One last list, if we look at it as a benchmark, what institutions provide funding in support of faculty choosing to publish, or if you will, provide some subvention for the ability to be able to publish with open access funds. Again, there's a list of very notable institutions here, starting off with our neighbors to the north, the University of Kansas. A wonderful set of very prestigious institutions here, but missing on this list is the University of Oklahoma. So what is the goal of this conference today? The goal that I have is to engage with you on changing the landscape of scholarship and the ways to advance and promote faculty scholarship through digital open access frameworks. In this context, the open access areas to explore might include some kind of rights retention instrument appropriate for and in conjunction with online repositories in which members of the university community can post works of scholarships that are accessible to the world without charge. The goal of these conversations is to increase faculty awareness and seed conversations at the University of Oklahoma, at Oklahoma State University, and across the state of Oklahoma that will contribute to building a more sustainable model for Oklahoma.